Oh, hey guys, welcome back. So, as promised, today we're going to be talking about perfectionism and how this disease can actually prevent you from achieving your content creation goals. Let's go. So, we're back inside. Now, many of us actually think that being a perfectionist is a good thing. Sometimes even say it like a humble brag. But in reality, if you think about it, it's just one of the best excuses that you can have for failing to do something.
Failure.
What you end up doing is you always have a legitimate excuse for not getting things done. And in as much as most perfectionists wouldn't want to hear this, it's actually most often than not a bad thing to be a perfectionist. I think, or I felt that perfectionism really correlates with people who are quote unquote very intelligent. And why I say this is because most times if you are a perfectionist, you tend to overanalyze situations. And through this overanalyzing of a situation, you tend to create excuses or reasons in your head why you can't proceed with something. And most importantly, because you've set such a high bar for yourself in terms of how you want to execute something. As content creators and also creatives, it's become such an essential part of your journey to be able to create content. As people nowadays don't just buy the product, they buy the story behind the product. They want to buy it because they know you and not just because they know the product. Another thing that I've learned about being a perfectionist is we tend to equate mistakes with failure. And so it becomes a big hurdle because you basically look at your content and tell yourself, in as long as it's not perfect, I've failed. And it means any mistake that you make here, be it out of focus, be it you're saying a lot of arms, you have a lot of filler words, be it you're stammering a lot, you're stuttering, you see that as failure. And it's quite an unfair way to look at things because especially when you're starting out, you need room to grow. Or where is the room for growth if you want things to be perfect? And how arrogant is it to expect to be perfect just when you're starting?
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Perfectionists also have an inherent fear of exposing their flaws to people. Of course, as humans, we view ourselves as perfect, which it really isn't the case. But when you're doing content, you kind of put yourself out there to be judged. And realistically, now this is what leads to similar words like overthinking or what they call analysis paralysis, which are basically the same thing, where you're so much in your head, you become a prisoner to your thoughts. And more importantly, your ideas never leave your room or never leave your notebook. As a perfectionist, you stop taking risks, first of all, because you have this inherent fear that you won't meet your own expectations, besides even the expectations of others. Looking forward into your journey of content creation, you kind of have to detach yourself from the result and just focus on the process. It sounds simplistic, but that is the only way you can kind of even get a grip in terms of being consistent enough for you to call yourself a content creator. Another thing which I was just reading about with regards to perfectionism is that you're so focused on avoiding failure rather than being focused on your desire to succeed. And so if you think about it, this is a negative way of looking at life, whereby you're laser focused on not failing rather than being laser focused on succeeding. And so perfectionism usually is just, again, also correlated to things like imposter syndrome. And you kind of, if you really believe in yourself, you kind of have to get yourself out of that mindset in order to achieve anything in this life. So how do we deal with perfectionism is why we're here. And I'd honestly say that I'm still trying to deal with perfectionism in my own life. And I'll just give you a personal experience of whereby I shoot content, and I've been shooting content for around 3-4 years, producing music for around 6 years. And what I really noticed about myself is it's so easy for me to do other people's projects, to shoot other people's content, record and release other people's music. But when it came to my own content, I always struggled. And I used to ask myself, why? Why is this the case? And I just thought about why is it easier for people to do a 9-to-5 job than to be entrepreneurs? And in my thinking, that's where I understood where all this perfectionism comes from. You see, when you're doing a 9-to-5 gig, most times you do things because you have to. And it's very difficult to get that mindset when you're doing things on your own or for yourself. Because when you're doing things for yourself, in as much as you tell yourself you have to, since you're only accountable to yourself, it's very easy for you to not do it. And apart from feeling maybe failure or disappointment. There are no other consequences that you may face. However, when it comes to 9 to 5, you have to wake up early, you have to be at work at 9, clock in, and you have to leave work at 5. And apart from that, you've been given goals, you've been given targets, you've been given KPIs, and you definitely have to fulfill these goals. And so, as a content creator, you're in a situation where you're just like an entrepreneur. You're not in a 9 to 5 environment where you're accountable to others. You're accountable to yourself, which, especially in this day and age, is one of the hardest things to do. And so I realized if I don't hold myself to the same standard of kind of separating myself from myself and being such that treating myself almost like as a client, where my goal is I need to get this done for the client, which is me. And with that mindset, you get to a point where you just have to release.
Pause.
And the moment you don't release the content, you kind of start asserting to yourself that, oh, maybe actually I'm not up for this. I'm not made for this content creation manenos, Another thing that I noticed is when I'm doing other people's work, I have no fear of rejection or validation. Because at the end of the day, with that kind of work, I'm only being judged for my editing and my shooting, which I believe are quite good.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But when it comes to now creating content for yourself, there's room for people to judge who you are, to judge your personality. And most times they're not correct, but just that fear of, oh no, oh damn. Now people can actually have an opinion about me, about who I am, about how I dress, about how I speak. And all these underlying things are what kind of start creating that perfectionism, overthinking mindset where you want everything to look proper to avoid people judging you. And that's one of the reasons today I'm kind of just even shooting without lighting, shooting without a curated backdrop, because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure you put content out there. How to deal with perfectionism and overthinking. These are things that I am trying to do myself and that you can apply in your life as a content creator to break out of the cycle of being a perfectionist. First and foremost, you need to be honest with yourself. If your aspirations or your conviction of doing content are not stronger than your fear of rejection or your fear of disappointment or your fear of failure, then maybe again, you're not cut out to be a content creator. Because constantly with every video you post, you will face that fear of rejection, that fear of disappointment, and that fear of being judged. But you need to come to terms with it. And your passion and your psyche for creating content needs to be so much more powerful than the fear of being rejected. It's just that simple. Content is a form of entrepreneurship. And if you're being an entrepreneur, it means you're basically running a business. So you need to treat your content as a business, and you need to have that mindset that I'm an entrepreneur, because you're investing your time, your money, and your thoughts and effort into all of this. Again, always remember there's a reason why people prefer doing a 9 to 5 gig than being entrepreneurs. It's much easier. So always move with a structure and organization that you can rely on consistently for at least 1 year. And if you're able to actually create content consistently for 1 year, you will just see the growth that comes out of that. Do your research. Mentioned this earlier also in my previous video. The more you become learned and the more you research you do about a specific topic, about a specific niche, the more confidence you get, especially in the context of a podcast. When you're talking about different topics or when you're having an interview, the more wealth of knowledge you have, the less you will feel like you're making a mistake. The more confident you can assert your position on things. But without doing the research, sometimes you even lack the words to contribute to a specific topic. So doing your research and knowing your niche so well is very important. You need to be realistic in your goals. As a perfectionist, again, you have big dreams. And that's why you tend to work so hard on a video expecting that you'll get 1 million views.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
You'll get 1,000 views even, let's say that. But realistically, especially when you're starting, you'll definitely get, unless you do a good job or the topic is just coincidentally trending, you'll probably get 100 views if you're lucky, 50 views. And so you need to set realistic goals and goals as you grow. The first set of goals would be in terms of your uploading schedule. So leave aside the subscribers, leave the viewers, just how consistent do I need to upload? So for example, I want to upload once a week for the whole year. Just doing that alone is a metric for success. Leave how many subscribers you'll get. The fact that you're able to do the same thing on a weekly basis for a year and you can finish the year Even if you're short with around 40 videos on your channel, that is already a metric of success, and you will definitely see something come out of that. The other set of goals that you need to think about is now in terms of your interactions with your audience. Set simple goals like, I want to reach 100 subscribers this month. Bas, that's all you need to do. Once you reach 100, set 500. Once you reach 500, set 1,000. Then keep going like that. But assuming that you will reach 1,000 subscribers with your first video or 1,000 views, it's a bit naive, let's be honest. And if you think about it, sometimes people think even 500 views is a little, 1,000 views is a little, 100 subscribers is a little. But always think about it like this. What if those 100 subscribers were in a room? You would feel their presence. You'd feel the value of being around 100 people who actually want to listen to you. And finally, you need to set hard targets and hard limits. So giving an example of this video, I woke up today and I was like, I have to shoot this video, come rain, come sunshine. I took around 40 minutes to an hour to script it, which means doing some research, putting down my main points, and immediately I was done, I started shooting. Again, for shooting, I was like, I will shoot this in an hour, and immediately I'm done shooting, I will take 2 hours to edit it. And again, make the thumbnail and all those other things. So for the purpose of consistency and to break away from perfectionism, that is what you need to do. And so the goal is to get it done rather than to get it done well. Remember, getting it done in the beginning is enough. As you grow, you will now try to improve and getting it done well. As a perfectionist, you need to understand one thing, and it's called the law of diminishing returns. I'll read it up for you to hear. The law of diminishing returns is an economic principle stating that as investment in a particular area increases, the rate of profit for that investment after a certain point cannot continue to increase if other variables remain constant. So as a content creator, what can you get from the law of diminishing returns? It's simple. The longer you spend on a project and the more time you take to complete a video, to complete your podcast, to complete any form of content that you're doing, the likelihood that you will get unsatisfactory results. You end up spending so much time doing something, especially when you're starting, not many people will care about. You'll probably have 50 viewers, so why would you spend 3 days a week doing a video? I'm not saying don't spend any time, but realistically when you're starting, a few hours commitment to your video is enough to set the ball rolling. I've seen enough videos of people with low quality audio, with garbage video, but just because they have a conviction as to what they're saying, people will listen to them. As long as people find value in what you're saying, realistically also the last thing they look at is your video and audio. And so as you're doing your content, always remember the law of diminishing returns. The more you're spending on an edit, the more time you're spending on tweaking your set, on doing, if you're a lady, doing your makeup, doing your what, the more unsatisfactory you will feel when that video has 100 views. And the inverse is true. If in the case you spend a little time doing a video, let's say you do a video in 2 hours, then that video gets 10k views, your level of satisfaction will hit the roof, because deep down you know, wow, I really didn't put so much effort into this, but I'm actually getting more than the reward that I anticipated. So if you love yourself, especially when you're starting, don't put too much time into your video. Don't be a perfectionist. Try integrate all these things that we've talked about. Your goals should be more oriented on consistently getting shit done, not getting it done well, not getting it done perfect, just get it done. Because as I said, like, you rather have something average out there than nothing at all. Thanks for watching. And if you didn't watch the previous video where I was talking about tips that can make your podcast succeed, make sure you check it out up here. Till next time.